Alright, hey guys, in this video we're going to be covering Target 4B.1. Our master learning objective is I can identify the domain, range, and intervals where the graph is decreasing and increasing. So this vocab is not new, it's the same as the last unit, but let's just go ahead and review it one more time. So domain is all the possible x values. So all the possible x values. What you should think of is how far your graph goes from the left to the right. Alright, thinking about our range, I'm going to go ahead and switch up the color. So our range is all the possible y values. So when you're thinking of range, what you should be thinking of is how far down to up it goes, or how far up to down, right? How far does our y values range from? All right, scrolling this on up, increasing and decreasing. So increasing, switch up our color again, increasing is when the graph is going up. When the graph is going up. One thing to remember is that you always write increasing from left to right. So some, shapes or something that you can think of when something is increasing is from left to right. It could look arch going that way, right? That would be going up. Or it could also be a minimum and still going up, right? It's thinking of what that parabola shape would look like. Decreasing, let's switch up my color here, let's say purple. Decreasing is when it's decreasing, it's when the graph is going down. Right, and we still write our decreasing intervals from left to right. So some shapes of when you should think of decreasing is when the graph is starting at a maximum point or going down, right, from that vertex, or you have a minimum point and it's starting off in infinity and then it's going down, and then it's going down to a minimum. So it's kind of like a U shape that way. So those would be some shapes. If a parabola is positive, positive is just when the graph is above the x-axis. So when the graph is above the x-axis. Right, x-axis still is going from left to right. Right, and our x-axis is the axis that is that horizontal axis, so whenever it's above that is going to be a positive. If we have a negative, that's just when the graph is below the axis. Graph is below the x-axis. So again, x-axis is that horizontal axis, and we would still write this. Negative is going to be still left to right. Okay, so those colors that I use, I'm going to help kind of annotate the following problems. Looking at our first example, no need to put it in your graph. It already tells you what that function is. It's already graphing it for you. So we just have to kind of fill out all these answers. So the first thing is domain. Remember, looking right above, domain is how far left, how far right does our graph go? Well, this function is going to keep going up forever and keep going up forever, which means all the way left is going to be negative infinity all the way to positive infinity. So my domain is going to be just that, negative infinity, comma, positive infinity. The range is how far up and how far down that graph goes. Well, the range, look at the y value. This y value is the lowest y value right here at -4. So at -4, is that function going up or down? Well, this is opening upward, and my y value all the way up here is a positive infinity. Keep in mind that if this would face downward, all the way down here would be a negative infinity, but we see that this is our lowest point, right? This y equaling -4 is the lowest value. So the lowest point, I'm always going to start off at that vertex point, and then I decide if my parabola is opening upward, which it does, which means my y values go to a positive infinity. Again, this should be kind of more of a refresher. This is what we did kind of in our last unit. So looking at increasing and decreasing. Increasing, well, where is my function going up? So I see right here at my vertex point, my function is going up right here, right? That's positive. But what I need to state is the x values. So the x value at this point would be right here at 1. And then it's going all the way to positive infinity. So I have to use the x values. So I write 1 to infinity. My graph is going up. Looking at decreasing. I think I used purple. Where is my graph going down? Well, this starts all the way somewhere up in infinity, and then as I get closer and closer to that vertex point, it's opening up, or it's going down. So where are those x values? Well, all the way from infinity, negative infinity, until we get to that x value of a 1. So again, left to right, so negative infinity until 1. And where is this graph positive? So where is it above the graph? What we have to think of is positive. Let me look at what color I made positive. Positive was orange. So positive, where is it above the graph? Well, from this point, I'm going to go ahead and draw like a little asymptote here, because that's where it's above the line, right? So from negative infinity until this point right here, it's above the line, right? Otherwise, it starts decreasing down to that vertex. So that's going to be from negative infinity to a -1, right? That's from negative infinity until we get to this point right here is where our graph is above that x-axis. Where else is it positive? Well, from this point, right? That's where it all of a sudden becomes positive now, and forever until positive infinity there. So also positive from that value of 3 to positive infinity. Again, that's just above the graph. Where is it negative? Negative means below the graph. I think I have that one in red. And it is below the graph right here, in between these sections right here. That's a lot of colors for you, but I want to make sure that you are kind of following along with me. So from -1 until that value of a 3, it's below the graph. Okay? So this means below, negative, positive means above the graph. All right, let's go ahead and give another one of these a try. You want to go ahead also, you want to pause the video and see if you get these right, you can do that. Second example, domain and range. So domain again, how far left, how far right. So negative infinity all the way to infinity. So negative infinity, comma infinity. Our range is how far up and how far down does it go? Well, this is concave down, right? It's our parabola opening downward. So I know that the highest value is going to be a 2. But now I think of, is this opening up or down? These values are opening up downward, which means this is going down to negative infinity. So my range is going to be down to negative infinity. Where is the graph increasing? Well, I see that my function is starting off down here in negative infinity, and then it's going up. But again, I have to use the x values. So all of these x values is increasing until I get to that x value of a 1. So starting from the left, from negative infinity until x equals 1, my graph is going up. Where does the graph go down? Well, the graph all of a sudden switches from this vertex and now it's going downward, which means between these x values, my graph is decreasing. So from 1, starting on the left, going all the way to the right, positive infinity. Where is the graph positive? So again, I'm going to draw those little lines here, right? Because it becomes positive between these 2 points. So I'm going to write, starting on the left, would be -1, all the way until the value of here, which would be 3. Because all of a sudden, on the left of those points or on the right of those points, it is now decreasing. It's below the graph. So negative is going to be these values, right, because my graph is below, as well as these values, because my graph continues to decrease. So 2 points here, from negative infinity until that -1 is below the graph, as well as from that value of, 3, all the way to positive infinity, it also continues to be negative. Alright, moving on up, a couple more examples here. Going back to a parabola that opens upward. The domain. Hopefully by now you know it's negative infinity to positive infinity, right? From all the way left to all the way right. Our range is the lowest value all the way to the highest value. So this y value is at a -4. And then our parabola is opening upward. So that's going to go up to a positive infinity. Our increasing, where does the graph go up? Well, it's going up in the positive direction right here. But again, I use those x values. I always use x values. So that x value is at a 2. All the way until positive infinity. Where is the graph decreasing? So decreasing is where the function is going down. So all the way up here, as it's moving down to that vertex point, it is going down. Again, I use those x values starting from the left to the right. So from negative infinity until we get to that vertex point, that x value, which is a 2. Where is the function above the graph? So it switches right about here. So at this point right here it's 0, as well as right here at 4, right? So it's going to be positive from negative infinity until that first x value of a 0. And then from x equals 4 all the way to positive infinity, it returns to be above the graph. Where is it below the graph? Well, in between those 2 points, right? Between these guys. So that's going to be from 0 to 4. It's below the graph. Last example here. It's going to be a parabola opening up downward. What is the domain? Domain is how far left, how far right, right? Hopefully we start seeing these patterns. Negative infinity, positive infinity, that's always the same, whether it's facing up or down. Our range, that y value, that's 4. And then this is opening up downward. So this is going down to negative infinity. So comma negative infinity. Where is our function going up? So increasing, our function is going up right here, up to that vertex point. And again, we have to use those x values. So negative infinity until we get to that x value of a 2. Our graph is going upward. Where is our function going down? Well, from that vertex point all the way down here, but again, we use those x values still at that same vertex point. So from 2 to positive infinity, our graph is now going down. Where is our function positive? So where exactly find those x-intercepts, right? From here until here, our graph is positive. So what those x values are seem to be at 0 until 4. My graph is above the graph. It doesn't matter if I'm increasing or decreasing there. All those values though are still above the graph. Where is it below the graph? Well, before that point and after that point. So from negative infinity until 0, it's below the graph. And then from 4 all the way to positive infinity, it continues to be below that graph. All right. Go ahead and practice activity 4B.1. Good luck.